Okay, good morning to you all. We are Valeria Palacio, Sara El Castillo, Laura Sofia Gordillo, and Valentina Contreras, and today we're going to talk to you about the school of the future. In order to do this, we are going to talk about three main philosophers, and we are going to start with John Dewey. John Dewey addresses one of the most important problems with current education systems, stating that schools have become overly formal and focused on having students memorizing information. Additionally, he acknowledges the social importance of schools with the analogy of them being mini societies. Both of these ideas are key in order to think about the future of education. And along with this, Dewey also thought that the mind was not a preformed structure, but rather an organic functioning process in which interests led to action. Because of this, his educational philosophy included experience-based learning in order to put the child in contact with their environment. Finally, he proposed the complete act of thought as a method to solve problems. This included a problem to be solved, a cause, research, a conjectural stage in which the student forms a hypothesis, acting on said hypothesis, and reflecting upon the results obtained.
Empiricism. According to the philosophers John Locke, Dave Hume, and George Berkeley, followers of the empiricist current, empiricism is the basis of good and correct education. Empiricism considers experience and sensory perception as the best ways to truth of things. That is, for an empiricist, experienced reality is the basis of all knowledge, both in its origin and its content. Since the human mind must start from the world of the sensible, what is perceived by the senses, to later from ideas and concepts. Empiricism holds that knowledge is subjective and that people can learn through experience. However, it is important to emphasize that objective education cannot be set aside, and on the contrary, it must be in perfect sync with empiricism, so that the person has theoretical basis and complements them with the experience they can obtain. Also, empiricism is so important to the student because it develops a sense of curiosity and understanding of the world. It is so much so that education has meaning and significance if the individual is capable of questioning and finding out about the relationships that constitute reality, how things are useful to vital needs, and if there is an explanation of the phenomena of nature. Empiricism is based on experimental verification that all ideas come from two sources, by sensation and by reflection. By sensation, John Locke understands the function of consciousness that enables us to capture impressions from the outside world. And by reflection, he means the act by which the spirit knows its own operations. Sensation is the first sample idea produced by way of reflection. Finally, we have how to promote empiricism in schools. From the first years of education, the child should be placed in an education where they can develop the ability to think and understand the phenomena that surround them, for which the methodology of experimentation in the classroom will be used, which follow these steps. First one, observation. Second one, hypothesis formulation. Third one, experimentation. Four, data collect. Five, hypothesis contrast. And the final is graphic representation.
Then we have a approach to Maria Montessori thinking. And the school was redefined as a prepared environment in which children can develop freely at their own pace. And the conventional classroom rows of immovable desks were replaced for lightweight, child-sized tables and chairs that the children could move themselves. She didn't want the classroom physical arrangement to restrict the children's freedom. The school would develop children's sensory and motor abilities, giving them freedom of choice within a structured environment to encourage their independence and self-confidence. Children in Montessori school choose their own activities and materials. Then they are self-motivated because the materials are self-correcting and children work at their own pace. They require little intervention by the teachers. In fact, they will acquire self-discipline and self-reliance by recognizing their own mistakes and repeating a task until it's done correctly. Montessori aimed to develop practical life skills such as time and botany, motor and sensory training, gymnastic activities, and rhythmic movements, and formal subjects. Children experience crucial time in their development called sensitive periods that are a high state of readiness for learning, such as learning language and social adaptation, rejecting the idea that reading and writing need to be imposed on children. Montessori believed that they could learn to read and write when they were ready to do.
Okay, so taking into account the different ideas we have mentioned before, we are going to talk to you now about the school of the future and the ideas we think should constitute it. In this point, it is important to clarify that we are thinking of this as a primary and both secondary school. So first, we have our aim and vision. For our aim, we have that our school is going to be the safest environment for children and an example for an educational philosophy and strategy in Colombia. This way, we hope to expand our methods to other schools in the country and have students learning, having fun, and discovering their greatest potential. Then, as a vision, we aspire to create a school where both children and young adults can discover their passions and the different ways they can contribute to society while doing what they love. Regarding our school policies, we have four main points we would like to address. First, the school won't have any religious or political affiliations of any kind. Then, teachers should be trained for working with children from a variety of ethnic groups and cultures and with impairments or mental disabilities. Also, students' participation is going to be a key element in the institutional decision-making process. And finally, students that show an important development and compromise with the school can access to a scholarship for that school year. Regarding admission process, for students to join our school, we will perform interviews that allow us to know the children, their families, and the possible necessities they might have. This will be done by a trained psychologist who is aware of cultural, ethnical, and diverse treatment. Additionally, we will not address questions regarding gender or religious affiliations because we want to make sure our school is a safe place for everyone.
Okay, then we have our architecture. We believe having green areas where students can play and interact are fundamental for them to be in touch with their environment. Also, the architecture of the classrooms is based on the proposals of Maria Montessori. Classrooms wide and open, simple, aesthetic, and real spaces where everything that is inside will be placed with a reason for being for the adequate development of each student. The classroom will be subdivided into areas where each one will express a different theme with its respective development. This material will allow the students to investigate and explore individually. Our curriculum encourages the students to develop social abilities, to learn the importance of teamwork, to be passionate about what they study, to use creativity and imagination, and to be able to learn with the most suitable learning method according to their own qualities. They will develop a greater emotional intelligence that will make the students who pass through the institution an amazing citizen. Also, children's development in art, music, and sports is just as important as their development in literacy. We reject the idea that reading and writing should be imposed to children. They will learn to read and write when they were ready to do. Also, we have a special emphasis in taking care of the environment with subjects as ecology and school projects as about sustainable development and friendly economy for the environment.
Regarding to our pedagogy, we believe that Dewey's educational and philosophical ideas are key in order to change the current education system on behalf of the student greater goods. Because of this, we believe that some strategies that could be used in schools include: first, constant trips that allow students to interact with their environment and get an experience-based education as proposed by John Dewey. Second, having activities that involve different ages in order to enhance the sense of community building. And for last, having students not just memorizing information, but actually using it to solve problems using the complete art of thought methodology. This way, it's more possible that students retain information longer because they are using to solve daily life problems.
Finally, we have evaluation and assessment. Knowledge will be evaluated in a practical way. Students will have to face real issues where they will have to apply what they have learned. Student development is going to be graded with practical activities, such as science fairs or contests, instead of regular standardized tests. They will work in groups or individually according to their own choice. And the traditional 1 to 5 grading scale will continue to be used as a starting point for the later purpose of helping students who don't reach the minimum grade to improve at their own rhythm on extracurricular hours and be able to keep up with their classmates. Then they will be recessed to see if they have a better understandings of the topics.
Okay, so here we end the main ideas for our School of the Future. Thank you so much for your attention. We hope that you come to our school, get to know us, and let your children have a great opportunity of learning and discovering their passions and what they love. Thank you very much.